Something that I have been tracking around the XRP ledger is simply just the overall growth of the ecosystem. I think this breakdown from Bank XRP perfectly puts it when we think about just how big the XRP ledger is becoming, especially if we just go back a couple years ago. I mean, if we go back to 2023, 2024, I mean, the XRP ledger, yes, it was growing, but not nearly as much as it did in 2025. We have here the XRP ledger ecosystem is exploding in 2026. RWAs tokenized 2,200% in 2025. 2,200% growth in 1 year for RWAs. $25 million to $568 million, eyeing $3 to $6 billion this year. RLUSD stablecoin, $1.4 billion market cap, powering liquidity. Daily transactions greater than 40,000. Top 6 blockchain rank as well. From payments king to institutional DeFi powerhouse, fundamentals winning. And yeah, if we are looking at what's happening here, I mean, it's crazy to watch this type of growth. We've been talking about it here and there, just kind of tracking a few things. Obviously, the main thing that we look at is just the projections around tokenization, around RWAs. If the XRP ledger continues to grow the way that it has been and get adopted the way that it has been as well, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a much bigger year for XRP and the XRPL, number one. Number two, if we see institutional DeFi break out in a much larger way this year, as well as institutional adoption picking up, again, that only reinforces XRP and the XRPL even more. This is very bullish. Now, another thing that I have been watching is just the stats on RWA.xyz. I mean, we have been seeing a growth across the board for a lot of things, but the main thing that I have been watching is stablecoin growth as well as the transfer volume. RWA 30-day transfer volume up about 17%, $76.5 million. Stablecoin 30-day transfer volume, though, up 23% at almost $1 billion. It's coming in at about $813 million right now. But most of that growth is coming from ROUSD as well. Also, there's a few additional stablecoins launching on the XRP ledger that have been growing. Like, for an example, Braza with USDB. That's up about 6.5% in the last seven days. We also have BBRL. That's up about 70% in the last 7 days. RLUSD, it's about flat at -0%, so no growth at all for RLUSD this last week. But we are starting to see more stablecoins launching on the XRP ledger, starting to see them grow as well. In terms of RWA value, I mean, we could see what's the major growth here for RWAs real quick. So again, just looking at a few going down the list here, I mean, we are still seeing stablecoins be the main bread and butter for growth around RWAs. Beyond that, I mean, there really isn't too much that's going crazy over like the last 30 days. We could see in the last 30 days, ROUSD is up about 13.6%. Beyond that, and let's just actually go over here to the all tab. Vert Capital is up about 18.67%. Control Alt is up about 178% though. And Control Alt, if you guys don't know, they're the main ones that are tokenizing like commodities and things like that. I could just kind of go through the list real quick. So this is all based around real estate, commodities. I believe that they also have a few other additional things here as well, like private credit. But yeah, I mean, listen, Vert Capital, insane growth here. This is very good to see. Control Alt, very good to see as well. I do think that tokenization on the XRP ledger is going to grow significantly more this year, which is something that I think everyone should be looking into. Now, I also believe that that's going to be the case because of a few of the major announcements recently from Ripple XDev. We talked about this announcement of the permission domains with the permission DEX. This is definitely something that I think everyone that holds XRP should be looking into, because this is going to support some very large use cases. I've talked about it many times over. This is the key to unlocking access to DeFi for institutional players. And if we're thinking about those use cases, yes, this does include FX on chain, which is trillions of dollars per day. You also have payroll and things like that, cross-border payments, corporate treasury. So this would unlock so much more utility for the XRP ledger as well as XRP. And these amendments are constantly getting announced, being worked on. Moving forward, they're starting to, improve the XRP ledger to make sure that it is a powerhouse behind institutional players. So I love to watch these amendments really kind of, come to fruition and get activated as well. Now, we also know from Ed Hennis, who is also a dev working around the XRP ledger, we have here the XRP ledger lending protocol is coming. A new protocol native system for fixed rate, underwritten credit as well. It unlocks productive on ledger lending for institutions and creates a pathway for XRP holders to earn institutional grade yield. And yeah, this is definitely going to be a big one because it's fully integrated into the XRP ledger. So I'm very happy about this. Now, this got posted back in the end of December. Did we get an update from this? Well, we do know on January 12th, big shout out to vet_x0 for this. We have here Ed Hennis is cooking with the upcoming lending protocol for the XRP ledger. And here we can see on GitHub, I believe this is from. It looks very similar to the GitHub UI, but we have here inbox, XRP ledger foundation, rippled 6161. Address reviewed, feedback from lending protocol review, high level overview of change. We also have another one on the bottom, which is an ongoing work and bug fixes for the lending protocol as well. So it seems as though this is still in active development and they are working hard on it, or at least Ed is. So we love to see that. And again, I'm very excited to see this go live because I think that this is going to unlock a lot of value for the XRP ledger. It's a huge one for DeFi to really become a reality as well in the XRP ledger. And I'm talking native DeFi. So this is definitely a big one. Now, talking about that as well. We recently got a video from RippleX regarding zero knowledge proofs. Now, this is another big thing for institutional DeFi. It's another huge domino piece to really kind of fall into place to support institutional DeFi and other use cases because, again, ZK proofs expand scalability. We have here from vet_x0. How can you not be bullish? This is from Anchel Malhotra. I hope that I'm saying that name correctly. This is the head of research at RippleX. She co-authored the XRP Ledger AMM and other features. Now she is on ZKPs, and this is what it enables for us. Trust minimized bridging for interoperability, compliant privacy with selective disclosure to authorities and third parties, transactional scalability, computation, and transactions can be done on the XRP Ledger layer 2s, and then the main chain is used as a settlement layer. This is the path to mass adoption, and you just need to pay attention. And yes, this is the path to mass adoption, on top of the fact that we are seeing the XRP Ledger go from 0 to 100 through a lot of these amendments and upgrades. This is definitely a big one for scalability. Check this video clip out.
We are getting past the exploration phase of zero knowledge technologies. When the XRP Ledger was built, these technologies were not even around. So it takes a while. We cannot just use any off-the-shelf solution. It takes a while for us to figure out the specifics of ZK technology to integrate with XRP Ledger. Where we are now in this journey is we are at the stage of prototyping zero knowledge proof. What we are doing is we are taking a hybrid approach where certain parts of the zero knowledge proofs will be implemented natively for better performance, and others give flexibility to the developers that they can build different applications, different proving systems based on their need, based on their requirements within this programmability layer. We are way farther in this journey, and soon we'll see some, real world applications being built on XRP Ledger. In my opinion, zero knowledge proofs is a very, very powerful tool. When we talk about privacy, people think about 100% privacy, where everything is hidden, nobody can ever see that, and that those things could be used in nefarious ways. However, what blockchains enable is something called programmable privacy. What does that mean? That means that you can get the best of both worlds. While you can hide information, but at the same time, you can do selective disclosure, meaning disclose the relevant information to third parties, for example, auditors for compliance purposes. The concept of selective disclosure is simple, that you do not have to open the entire data, entire information, but just expose the necessary parts required for different applications. For example, if you want to enter a club. You do not necessarily need to tell your age. All that you need to prove is that you are 18 years above, right? And that's something that programmable privacy provides you. Selectively disclose that you are 18 years above without necessarily telling that you are 22 years old, for example. Interoperability is a really hard problem. We haven't been able to solve it. It's fraught with technical challenges. And the biggest one being the challenge of trust. Like, bridges require trust in third parties, in entities, in federators, in centralized entities. What zero knowledge proofs provide is trustlessness. It provides verifiability. So you do not have to trust a third party. Instead, what you trust in is cryptography. Scalability is tricky. It's multidimensional. When we cannot do everything on the native layer, how zero knowledge proofs help us scale is by offloading computations. So you can offload computations to layer 2.
So this is extremely bullish for just the overall development side behind the XRP ledger to enable some of the largest use cases, like, for example, on-chain FX. You cannot do on-chain FX without proper scalability, which is why we look at ZKPs. This will unlock everything that we are reading within these documents around these huge use cases. This enables all of that. So yes, vet_x0 is 100% correct here. This is the path to mass adoption. You just need to pay attention. And I know that we've been waiting. We've been waiting for a very long time. However, think about what's happening here, okay? We are starting to see stablecoins as well as RWAs get tokenized on chain for the XRP ledger. This is the beginning phase of everything moving on chain, not just on the XRP ledger, but on chain itself. I've said this many times over. The path here is pretty simple. You see, stablecoins and tokenization, they lead to much larger use cases. For an example, we have over here, Bitwise Invest said, we asked hundreds of financial advisors what crypto themes they were watching most closely. Tokenization topped the list. TradFi is starting to see it. And yeah, we see here 30% of advisors are recommending or looking into stablecoins and tokenization. And Ondo just said tokenization is how institutions come on chain. I mentioned over here, you have stablecoins, which lead to tokenization, which lead to institutional DeFi. We had initially just stablecoins. Stablecoins morphed into much bigger things like US treasuries, non-US government debt, corporate bonds, private credit, all that kind of stuff. And guess what? I don't think that I need to tell you guys that stablecoins are growing at a massive rate. Just look at the transfer volume alone. $8.42 trillion in the last month. That is an upside push of over 43, almost 44%. What's crazy about that is the month prior, which was December, we did about 6.5 trillion. So we are most likely going to end this month off at a completely new record on this list, because the last one that we had, the all-time high on this chart, was back in October of 2025, which was about $7 trillion. Yeah, that's crazy. If we are looking back at just the months overall, the only other time that we've had major moves like this in a single month was back in 2021. This was peak alt season. This was peak bull run. Just think what would happen if we had an alt season where FOMO was at those same levels. Imagine the volume that would be getting recorded during that time. But I bring this up because I said that we have stablecoins and tokenization enable the largest institutional players to move on chain. This then leads to expanding utility for those tokenized assets, i.e. institutional DeFi. We're talking about lending and borrowing, fractionalized investing, permission dexes, on-chain payments, asset yield generation. The opportunities are endless. Once an asset moves on chain, it immediately becomes a completely new asset with unlimited utility. This is why more and more institutions are moving on chain. This is why the largest custodians and asset managers are moving on chain. We are in the beginning phase of the largest revolution. And yes, this is where we start to see every single asset moving on chain. We start to see all of the additional use cases coming with it. And the only way that we get this is if we have all of these things in place that Ripple is working on, and the Ripple X dev team. ZKPs, permission dexes, permission domains, MPTs, even institutional DeFi. All of these things are currently in development right now to enable all of this on the XRP ledger, and I'm very excited about it. I think that 2026, if all of these things align, we could start to see a big push around the XRP ledger from institutional players tokenizing, utilizing, and expanding their overall stack on the XRP ledger. Because remember, once they start to tokenize specific pieces of their stack, that's it. They're going all in on chain. They're bringing their entire business on chain. Institutional players, banks, asset management companies, you name it. Everyone thinks that right now it sounds crazy, but just give it a couple of years. You're going to see every single big player tapping into a public blockchain like the XRP ledger, Hedera, Stellar, etc. So with that being said, I hope that guys enjoyed this video.